Hello, ladies. Oh yeah, come let's talk. I have one controversial um discussion that I really need your inputs and your opinions about. But before I request for your inputs and your opinion, here is what I think. We want to talk today about Queen Vashti and Queen Esther and what panned out in that time and how Vashti got dethroned and Esther became her replacement. Now, if you are not familiar with the story of Queen Vashti, Queen Esther, and all that, come, let me give you a gist. Let me give you the gist. See, in that time, the king was said to have partied for 6 long months. 6 long months, from the break of dawn till dusk, for 6 months. And at some point, he requested the presence of the queen, who happened to be Queen Vashti. At that time, he requested her he wanted to parade her, wanted to show off her beauty to all who were in attendance of this great party. And when the message reached Queen Vashti, she did not like the request at all. She was displeased by the king's request. Apparently, she did not want to be paraded um in front of these men. The Bible did not tell us how many men at all were present or who and who was present, but there was a great number anyway. And Queen Vashti said no. She sent a message back to the king to say no. She wasn't going to make an appearance. She wasn't going to be paraded. Um, this is funny because the king is supposed to be the ultimate. His word is law. He is sovereign and he is top of all and sundry. And he just got turned down by his queen, who is supposed to be the one helping him uphold the do's and don'ts of the kingdom. Granted, his request was absurd. Let's not go there first. So he said no to the king in the presence of everybody. Now, this is the crazy part. The king felt insulted. Of course, he will feel insulted. He felt insulted that his queen disobeyed him, and he was really angry. And man, the inner caucus, members of the inner caucus, went to the king and said, "Guy, see you. If this thing we queen do, this thing that the queen just did, if it reaches the women, our wives and the other mothers in the community, if they find out that the queen can disrespect the king and get away with it, it will be an avenue for every woman to start disrespecting their husbands. In another word, if other women find out that the queen has an opinion over the king, over the word of the king, every other woman might start thinking they have the right to have an opinion when their husband dish out instruction." So this was scary for all of them because I mean, in those days, the man's word is ultimate. He's sovereign. Whatever he says, it's done. I mean, it's done. And they knew that the kind of command, the kind of power that Vashti wielded is one that had the hearts and the minds of other women. That she had the heart and the minds of the other women in her palm. And if she could disobey, other women would in turn disobey their own husbands. Because of this, the king feared that there might be an uproar. If wives start disobeying their husbands, start refusing to um, do the will and the bidding of their husbands, there might be an issue. So what they did, they advised him that he should put Vashti away, to take away her crown. That way, it will send a message to every woman out there who is daring to have an opinion or who thinks she can go against the law of her husband. Now, I'm just imagining the reaction that would have happened if it is our parent time where with the gender war and all and the feminism and the fight of misandry and misogyny and blah 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 blah. So after the king puts Vashti out and she was dethroned and she was sent out of the palace and all, and the party had ended and the king was now sober. The Bible said he was like heartbroken that his wife, his queen, was no longer his queen. He was now sober. I mean, drink not clear for an eye. Was now sober, and I realized that omo, I don't pursue my wife with drink for eye. Oh. And then when they saw that he was sober and he was repentant of what he did, these same men still gathered and told him, "Oh yeah, oh, in replacement of this queen, let us now send out word for all virgins to be gathered and all, and then to be prepared, and after some time you will choose for yourself amongst them the finest, the whatever you want. You pick your spec amongst on the one that pleases you. And you all know the story that followed of how Esther, as Hadassah then later got into the palace, followed the instructions and all. And at the end of the day, with the guardian of the head of the Hagar, the head of the concubines, she got the king's favor and eventually became queen in the stead of Queen Vashti. Don't forget that this same Esther eventually still disobeyed a major law of the land. This one was not just the word now. There was a time that queens, nobody could see the king, nobody could approach the king. And Esther approached the king, and she even found favor in his eyes. And he even did her bidding, he even favored her and did her bidding, which led to the safety, which led to the rescuing of the people of the children of Israel. Now, blah blah blah, forwarded down. I just wanted to say, you know, as much as we want to shout and say, yes, Vashti was a feminist who knew her will, who knew her power, who was not ready to be paraded like a common whore and harlot or whatever in the eyes or in the presence of anybody, especially those men that were all drunk and high spirited and everything, they don't know what they were looking for. She was somebody who knew her worth, who knew her purpose. Let us not forget hmm, that Vashti, being a queen, knew what it means to be a queen in that land. She knew the do's and the don'ts, that the law of the king is one and is sovereign, and the king's word is his bond. She knew that even the king at some point cannot go against his own word. Once he has said it and it has been tied by, is it the law of Medes and Persia, he cannot go back on his word. And disobedience to somebody who has that much power in that kind of manner was going to attract a lot of punishment. I mean, there are ways that she will have gone about that thing that it will have not led to that kind of um, serious punishment. I mean, she lost her crown, she lost her throne. Vashti knew that she had the kind of power, she was a trend setter, that if she disobeys, it will prompt other women to disobey. Having that kind of power, it is important that one threads softly and with wisdom, because the moment the kingdom fears that one person might upset a certain balance, they will not think of the importance of the person. They might be thinking of the future and the importance of the kingdom. Vashti very well knew these things. In this our generation now, Esther will have been called a pick me woman. Because I mean, she followed a man's rule and regulation. She played so many, played to the tune of so many, so that she could be picked as the next queen and blah 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 blah. But Esther knew her place with God. It's not about who you are. My best friend, when she and I were talking, when I brought this issue up to her, she told me something and it stuck. She said, "Who they back you matter." Esther knew she had a backing. Before she went to the king, before she decided to break a rule and to disobey, the Bible says that she went on fasting and prayer. So she sought the backing of the Oga of Ogas, the King of Kings, the only one who could change what could not be changed. So when she went, she was not just going alone, she was carrying fire, she was carrying a backing. Vashti was disobeying because she thought her beauty and whatever relationship she had with the king was going to save her. Why I'm bringing this up here is this: it is important as women that if you are going into a marriage, you are forming a marital bond. You understand the rules and the regulations that is guiding the place you are going into. So many women have fallen victim and prey to so many traditions, to so many cultures that they were not familiar to because they did not do their homework. And some of them, after marrying into these homes, they want to go and scatter things and raise dust when some of them knew what they were getting into. By that time, people might not look at you or consider what is going on with you in particular, because you knew, or you are supposed to have known what you were getting into before you get into it. That way you will save yourself the cost of the embarrassment that will follow. Well, it is crazy, that story itself. It's full of so many arguments. It's full of so many chaos. But I would like to get what you think. I want to know, get your opinion, or what you think about the story of Esther and Vashti. Do you also think that was a pick me woman, or Vashti was a strong feminist and that deserves to be treated better? Let me know what you think. Like, and I'll see you in the next